Hi, I'm Rachel Baker. I am the co-organizer for this Cloud Data and AI meetup. And I'd like to introduce Rajiv. Rajiv is a senior sales and service solution architect. He has a history of exceeding quota by having a successful track record with Fortune 500 companies. And today he'll be talking to us about SASE. Welcome, Rajiv.
Thank you so much, Rachel, for your nice words. All right, let's start discussing. As always, we try to make our webinars interactive. So I'm going to invite some polls. I'm going to invite people to provide their inputs. And let's make it an interactive session. So today we are going to talk about secure access service edge. Some people call it SASE. There is another SASE. I mean, people have different ways of saying. It's not about a teenager kid SASE. It's about securing your applications. So let's move forward and discuss some items here. I'll start with traditional architecture of enterprise and what all are the challenges around it. Then we will talk about what is SASE, what all are the benefits, and when should you or your organization should consider SASE, followed by what all are the high-level steps to enable SASE in your organization. So right away, I'm going to jump into the traditional architecture. It's going to be intense flow and discussion about how a architecture work in terms of your organization. So traditionally, if you know, we used to have everything as an on-premise based infrastructure where our branch, factory, and headquarter, data center, everything was inside the corporate network. And we had our ideas of VPN, MTLS, firewall, and a lot of new and old technologies to actually save our data. Things were okay. People were going on prime, working there. There was no issue until we started thinking of bringing work from home ideas. So then work from home, bring your own device, and then corporate laptops and different kind of laptops and devices. Things were still controlled. Then we decided that why don't we use private cloud in our organization, and right from AWS, GCP, Azure, we started lifting and shifting our products from data centers to private cloud using VPNs or other ideas. So now another thing came up, which was very quickly where third-party applications, which were either on-prem installed or it was in some private clouds, they started offering SaaS applications. So things like Slack, which is almost every day for an organization nowadays, Office 365. So gradually SaaS applications were also added, and people were interested to utilize this. So coming back to how the flow was going on initially, it was that from a branch or factory, it will go to headquarters, then it will go to your data center, and then via VPN tunnel, it will go to your private cloud, and you are kind of secure. But then there was another flow started where your branch or people on prime were trying to use the SaaS application. And in place of going through VPN, they were connecting via internet and going to SaaS application. And then there was a security hazard that how this is going to maintain. And the CASB idea was introduced. Now, CASB itself is a very important point where this is a mechanism that sits between your user and your SaaS application to maintain your security. We are not going to talk about much today on CASB, but this is a very good subject to discuss in our next webinar. So I'll keep CASB as a topic for future. Now, so far things were manageable. And when work from home users were trying to call, they were going to internet via VPN, firewalls, data centers, they were getting their information. And if they need to go to the cloud application, they were again going via their various devices, VPN to your corporate network. And then from corporate network, they were going out from VPN tunnels to cloud applications. Then the public cloud people started providing more useful where it is dedicated kind of infrastructure or tunnels for various enterprises to speed it up. Things were still good enough. Then few organizations thought of why, if we are going to SaaS application and people are not inside the premises, they can just use the CASB security and go to SaaS directly. This was another idea came in, and things were still manageable until COVID hit. So when it comes to COVID, everyone from on-prem, they came out. And now there was nothing as an inside and entire world, right from users to consumers, everyone moved to outside. And there lies the problem. Then the challenge was performance, complexity, and security. So I remember when in March last time, it was, I think, March 12, when in Toronto, there was a lockdown declared. And from the next day, 9 o'clock, everyone was trying to VPN, and there was a choke in our organization. And we suddenly had to pull out. And within few minutes, we got some SMS that, okay, you are not logging in until it is really, really important. And I mean, on that day, I came to know my VP was telling me that, okay, solution architects are not important right now. Don't log in. Because you are not firefighters. Firefighters are people who are actually doing the production support. So suddenly there was a, people were thinking about it. There was a discussion going on that, okay, more this challenge is there, this complexity is there, this security requirement is there, but there was no action around. And that when it came out as in COVID and situation came in, people were really struggling. I mean, I'm going to put a small pause here and want to ask your experiences, that what happened when and what was your experience when lockdown happened and you had to work from home suddenly?
I can share one of my experience, especially when I started working from home and hosting webinars. Can you hear me, everybody? Rajiv?
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So since last April or so, we started hosting meetups on the Zoom, as well as Toastmasters meeting, if you're familiar with Toastmasters. So basically everything is happening online now. All meetings are happening online. And one webinar, I remember, it was a Toastmasters meeting. So we were expecting about like 20 odd people, regular attendees. And suddenly I saw that there were like hundreds of people waiting to get in. So to be on safer side, I just admitted one guy. And then that guy started playing. Imagine you are talking and somebody starts videos or like playing music so that you cannot, so that audience won't be able to hear you, right? So his intention was to basically destroy the meeting. And not only that, then he started reaching out to audience, like asking for their phone numbers or email addresses. And immediately we realized like we have been hacked on the Zoom. So I didn't admit any other people who were waiting to get in, but we had to like basically shut the meeting down, create the new URL, and then we we just continued the meeting. But yes, that was one experience as far as security is concerned when it comes to Zoom meetings.
Yeah, so that was a classic experience of security. Like before, you were on Prime and you were using whatever was your corporate applications, and suddenly corporate applications were not good enough to handle such a big volume, and this SaaS application was really hacked at that time. So security, as I've said, first concern is security.
Uh, Sorry to interrupt, Rajiv. I would like to also share my experience.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Shweta. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So when COVID happened, so that time I was working as a debt counselor for one of bank. So all the data was visualized there. So my company was more concerned about the security thing. So they were even though the client was ready for work from home option, but the company was not ready for work from home because of the security concern. And it took almost 3 or 6 months for them to encrypt the whole data. And then after that, after encryption, they provide facility to the employees to work from home.
I see. So that's another classic example that people were not ready about it, even if they were having this thing in back of mind that okay, one day everything is going to cloud and SaaS application are getting introduced, right? Very good. So before I move forward, anyone else who wants to share their experience? Okay, let me move forward. Before I move forward, I just want to open a poll, which is about, are you really familiar with SASE or not? It's a quick 30 seconds, give your votes, and then we'll jump into SASE. So basically, just want to, that's another thing introduced by the webinar organizers today, to understand how things are going around, and we just want to introduce some polls. Wonderful. So if you say, quickly, we can see that around 83% people have not, heard about SASE, which is quite obvious because this particular term is really very new to the industry. Okay, so let's move to the next slide and talk about SASE. So way before our pandemic hit, in August 30, 2019, Gartner published a report saying the future of network security is in cloud. And there they introduced this term SASE. It was more of a term, sorry. I think someone is on. Okay, yeah, I just muted Diego here. So SASE simplifies wide area network and security by delivering them as a cloud service directly, the source of connection rather than the enterprise data center. So basically, what Gartner introduced a term of SASE where network and security was combined into a single platform, and the idea was to offer a platform that can provide both of these items together. So in nutshell, network security and identity at your cloud, not at the enterprise level. So from where you are trying to connect, you have all these three items combined. So let me quickly.
Hey, Rajiv.
Yes.
We have one question.
Sure.
How is this different than CASB? Now, I don't know what CASB stands for.
Yeah, that's a good question. CASB is, we'll introduce, by understanding this slide, we'll have this answer. So CASB is a part of cloud security, but how SASE is on top of CASB, that is what we can get this answer right now when we talk about this particular slide. So as I was saying, network and security as a service is what Gartner introduced in terms of SASE platform. So to make it more clear, when I was explaining the spaghetti of previous slide, let's put all the users on one side that is right now connecting to the SASE platform and not to the enterprise corporate network. And then on the other side, let's put all our resources, right, from cloud, SaaS applications, web applications, data center, and headquarters. So by introducing this particular platform, it's a single vendor platform that is going to handle your network and security together. So when it comes to network, your SD-WAN, your SSL VPN, your carriers, your CDN, your threat protection, everything is actually now handled by one platform. And on the other hand, same platform is going to actually control your security side. So in terms of very important pillar of SASE platform is your zero trust network access. So right from verifying who is the user, what device, and threats, to DNS, to software gateways, everything is handled by this one platform. And CASB is another part of SASE, which is right now used separately, where people are trying to introduce. So I'll just give a quick introduction of CASB. CASB is just to handle your SaaS applications. So between the user and your SaaS application, this particular piece is going to handle your security. But in terms of SASE platform, it's actually going to interact and connect in terms of network also. So your software-defined wide area network is also controlled. So users are right way connecting, and then all the mechanism of security, your software verification, your threat protection is handled by the SASE platform. And then if you see, I have also placed your branches as a user. So even there is a debate going on whether organizations are thinking whether they want to keep their corporate network alive, or they want to give up their corporate network, and everyone should be connecting to the internet only. And SASE platform will take care. So not necessarily everything is going to cloud. Not necessarily your cloud vendor is going to be using your data center moving to cloud. So, but your security and network as a combined service is maintained by the SASE platform. So whosoever has asked for CASB, just stay tuned and we will be able to provide the details in our future webinars in explaining the CASB requirements and how it is useful for your organization. So basically, by introducing this single platform, we have provided the entire complex that organizations were maintaining by themselves. In my previous slide, if I say, all this is now handled by our SASE platform. So you are giving your infrastructure, your security headaches to your SASE vendor.
So Rajiv,
yeah.
Does that mean like I deal with AWS? Does that mean that you don't have to care for the security features provided by your cloud service provider?
You do, but now your SASE vendor needs to take care of that. So they will maintain the entire infrastructure. They will maintain how your user needs to access and where is your resource and what all are your security policies. So in place of using that bits, like giving it to various people, you just give it to your SASE vendor.
Got it.
Yeah, it's a good question because it is going to change the way organizations working right now.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So that actually brings up the next question, which is what all are the benefits of SASE? Number one thing is what rightly Hiren introduced here is we were doing all this. It's not something that it's a new as in technology. It's just that this particular package idea was not there. So now by giving all your headaches to one vendor, you have reduced the IT complexity. It doesn't mean that your network SD-WAN and other important WAF and other capabilities are not going to be used. You still need to do it, but your vendor is doing it. It reduces your vulnerabilities and increase security because the moment first, if we say the traditional architecture, when the call starts, it goes to internet, and then it goes to your network, and then it goes to your cloud. So now the moment you enter the SASE platform, it start scanning your vulnerability. It start verifying who you are. It start verifying whether your device is not jailbroken. So things have started the moment you started your action. That's the difference. Then flexibility will increase because now you can centralize your policies. You know who is the user, when they are entering, and when you can add up your access, when you want to make a change in the policy, flexibility is available. And of course, it is going to reduce the cost because imagine these 20 items, now someone is maintaining for you. Then lastly, of course, delivering a good user experience. So as we were talking about what happened when people moved out from their offices, there was a big issue in terms of performance. Now, scaling up and down is something you just need to tell to your vendor and they will verify that. Then, of course, centralizing the policy management. So in most of SASE vendor, there is a centralized, console or maintenance management consoles. You can do whatever from there. Of course, complexity is there. That's a big debate. I have purposely not put drawbacks of SASE in this slide, because the biggest drawback that I know, I was interested to just speak out in place of writing, is finding the vendor and whether the vendor is good enough, whether we are ready to give our flexibility or our security to vendor or to cloud. But gradually, if you think, when we were planning to move our VMs to cloud, the same what should I say, drawback was there in our mind, because we were not interested to give our VMs to any cloud vendor, private cloud, because we were like, oh, what happens if cloud is not responding? We are nowhere, right? So those kind of SLAs or risk mitigation or things were there, but gradually we moved, and now more and more organizations are just thinking of moving to cloud and using SaaS vendors. Like, I remember when this idea of SaaS application came in, and people were not really interested to move. They were like, we want to have our application on prime. We don't want to move our data or security to cloud, but now it's happening, right? Drawbacks are there, but we are getting there, and future is where everything gradually move towards cloud, and then you need platforms which will take care of your day-to-day hassles of security and networking.
Hey, Rajiv.
Yeah.
We have a few questions on the chat.
Sure.
So basically, so the cloud security will be managed by SaaS vendor, and security, so basically it's a security to get into the cloud, but after that it's a cloud internal security. Is that right?
It's actually all the components that we have discussed, SD-WAN and all. It's like it's vendor's responsibility. All the complexities are there, but you are shifting the responsibility of maintaining all those security to a vendor, and that vendor is actually going to make sure that your network is connected to where you want to, and it's secure the way you want.
Okay. Another question I have is, will it add any latency, or what will be the typical added latency?
Not really. Now the vendors and the platform providers, they are just trying to provide you the best available, and it's like what will be the latency if we want to move our VM to cloud? It's similar to that.
And lastly, sorry.
Yeah. And it's going to be like seamless. People will not realize where they are.
And how is it going to change the security team structure in an organization when security is going to be managed by SASE vendors?
It's not going to change much in terms of what we are managing, because vendors are not going to go into your domain. They will provide you this as a service. So you need to map what user and what destination you want to, where is your application, what kind of application, and zero trust network will be settled. So it will be provided as a service, and you need to utilize it as a service. So the security, what security you need to have is still your organization need to decide. But there are certain standards, like let's take example of OAuth. OAuth is a standard. It's offered. And now how your use case is going to use OAuth is what you need to decide. So the security teams are not going anywhere. It's just they are using this platform and providing, say, shifting your responsibility from maintaining all this to just operating and making the policies, and then utilizing what best is offered by the vendor.
Cool. Thank you. And folks, please don't be shy. You can interrupt Rajiv and unmute yourself to ask any questions. So please feel free to ask questions yourself. Chat is also another way, but please don't be shy.
Sure. I see Diego. Hey, Diego.
Hey, Rajiv.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Great presentation. Just a question. For the SASE, when you mentioned CASB, the integration between the solution is basically a soft solution or also a hardware configuration that is need to do?
So as a consumer, you don't need to do anything. It's a software solution because it's a cloud solution. But your vendor who is offering, they need to have entire infrastructure. So they will probably use the public cloud or their private cloud or whatever they need to maintain the SLA. But from the consumer view,
instead of you using the OpEx for your project, you just have CapEx.
Correct.
Okay.
And policymakers and people who still understand your domain, that's there, right? So even from Broadcom viewpoint, they are also offering the SASE infrastructure. It's a semantic.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
sorry, one more question here. Is Kapil here? So I'm just trying to understand this. So SASE is just a kind of a security framework, which is governed by a vendor. So the SASE kind of a framework will be provided by many different vendors. Is it correct?
No, it's actually, the idea is that it's in place of, it's actually reverse. In place of having multiple vendors on your on-prem trying to resolve your security and network, it's just one vendor who is doing all for you, and you just need to tell them what is the volume and what is the security you're looking for. I have another slide that will actually tell you what top steps you need to take when you are moving to SASE from your current.
So if I understand correctly, for example, like let's say the company using any firewall tools, company using any security tools. So all these tools will be replaced by this SaaS offering as a SASE solution from the vendor?
Correct. And you just connect to internet.
Okay. And any organizations are already going to that route, or this is a pretty new concept, or people still need to get into it?
No, it's like almost now, before even the name was given as SASE, there were vendors who were providing similar services, but the name was given by Gartner in 2019. So they were doing it separately, and there are other reports where they try to give different names for this, but somehow Gartner's SASE is more popular, and now people just want to give continue with SASE as a platform.
Okay,
but good question. Yeah, thank you. Let's move to the next. So now, as Kapil was also asking, what is next? When should we consider SASE? So the answer is yesterday. If we have gone through the hassles of COVID, but before even COVID happened, people were moving to cloud so fast. People were moving to SaaS applications so fast. And organizations were trying to, maintain how they are going to maintain their old parameter-based infrastructure, where you need to go into the infrastructure first, and then you go out as a VPN tunnel. In one of the use case that I am doing, it's reverse. You are coming from cloud, and your resources are inside the data center. So SASE is a very good fit there. So why to do all this? You just bring SASE in between, and then everything else will stay where they are. And security and network is actually introduced. So when to consider? Of course, yesterday, because increase in remote user. So when you know that more and more people are moving out from your on-prem infrastructure and now going towards your home-based work, there is a report that at least 70 to 80% of organizations are not planning to call their workers back, even pandemics goes away. So they are happy with what the way things are going on, and they will continue to work from home, at least for a few years now. And maybe then there will be a cultural shift, or some new things are going to introduce, and then we will think whether they want to go back to office or not. So remote users are not going anywhere now. Application moving to cloud. There is a flood of SaaS application right now. You just see how each and every application that was on-prem, they have started moving and working on SaaS application. They are trying to move their application and providing it as a service. Less overhead, same thing. Then increase in network connection and devices. So again, you know that now your organization is using different devices and different network connections. So, and don't forget about IoT that is coming. It's already there, and it will become a part of your life now. So more reason to move to SASE. Then of course it will be an unpredictable pattern. Now you cannot really say that, okay, it's 9 to 5, because people don't really work 9 to 5 now. And then greater security requirement. Just look at the example here provided. So we are here, and suddenly you think from that angle, you are presenting something to your board of directors, and suddenly 200 people show up and asking for email addresses of your board of directors. So you need to have security in place, right?
So one thing I would like to add here is Fortune 500 companies that do not specialize in information security. This is very important because they can lay the information security responsibility on a company that specializes in a information security. So this is a huge, huge technological win for large corporations.
Absolutely, John. And you know that more and more people are interested to do business than maintaining their infrastructure. It's really a big elephant nowadays for organizations that are not interested in IT. And you have spent a lot of time in SASE already. Fantastic. All right. Now let's move to the last slide, which is how to think of implementing. So far, we are just talking about what it is, what all are the benefits, and when to consider. So that's, as Kapil was also saying, that how many people have already introduced SASE in their organization. Yes, it's pretty new, but but in some ways, people have already started introducing it. Now, the best 5 steps that I have thought one organization should take is, number 1, identify your user. So you should know where your users are. Very quickly, people have started moving and they don't even know what kind of users they have. So we need to understand and identify different kind of users, no matter what sort of organization you are dealing with, and what kind of access is required. So we need to really drill down to each and every user, device, and their level. That's the very first step of moving towards SASE. Then next step is you identify your application homes. So now suddenly you don't know where your application is hosted even. SaaS application, okay, it's not my problem, but at least you need to map, identify your source and destination in terms. And then comes the very important part where you need to sort the shortest path of your flow. So like from where to where, how to go. SD-WAN, so networking is something which comes into picture as there was a question about latency. So SASE vendor and your organization both needs to work together on this to make sure that you are actually maintaining the latest applications and components, but also look for the shortest path. Because if you are deciding to if your user is really in Japan and you are planning to have a SaaS application which is hosted somewhere in North America, then that comes into picture. You need to look for tools where it should be geographically settled, low latency and all that. And zero trust. So our previous webinar was about zero trust. That's why I started with zero trust, because the very first thing is we need to change the idea of security for not trusting anyone and verify everyone. And then this is another very big pillar where you have to maintain your zero trust network access. So far so good. You identified the user, you identified the applications, you identified their homes, you figure out the shortest path, and then comes of selecting a appropriate vendor. Right now for organization, this is really a tedious task, because some they don't know how to handle with the vendors. What is the positive flow towards what is the process, what is their pros, what is their shortcomings. And in fact, I just want to let you know, Kapil, this is for you. These are already the established vendors which Gartner has already listed. So they have this much vendor. They just say that these are the mature vendors already. And you will see that there is no Google or AWS in it, because they are the provider.
Yeah, I see there are like non-name like Proofpoint and Semantics, and they already have some products, so they are building on top of their product to this kind of a new framework, right?
Absolutely. They were actually making it, but now it has given a name. That's what I'm trying to say. They were the SD-WAN providers all the time. They were the security providers. They were the network providers. They were WAF people. They are expert in WAF. If you see Akamai, I mean, now it's combination of their network and security together as a buffet, you can say, and you utilize what you want to.
Surprisingly, I don't see the name of Cisco here. So
Cisco is there.
Cisco is there.
Yeah, it's here.
Oh,
Cisco is
oh
there.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
there,
here. I missed it. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. So this point where you need to select an appropriate vendor is really coming into picture. And organizations like Global Clouds, we are working with various organizations, Fortune 500 organization, and we are there to provide them the path how to select a correct vendor. Because right from security to network and you need to know that exact package. So this is another trend that is coming up where you have your vendors, you have your need, but you don't know how to select and how to run with that path. So some consultants have started working on SASE and CASB just to focus on hand holding with greater organizations.
Hey, Rajiv.
Okay. Yes.
We have a question here from Diago.
Yeah.
How does SASE deals with the BYOD strategy?
So BYOD it's actually, if we go back to quickly this, the users, they have all the new technologies to handle. So like even threat protection, threat metrics, your ideas of maintaining the device and registering the device, all those that we were actually offering via some applications. Now we have those components and items that we can use, and we need to just maintain vendor with and tell the vendor that okay, this is what all are the requirements, and they are working on BYOD and different kind of unregistered devices. So those mix are also there in the SASE platform. So the components that you see is just 2 to 3% top components I have shown here. It's like what you want is there. That's the vendor responsibility. They want to have device registration kind of mechanism. They have the softwares. They want to have scale up, scale down. Those kind of packages are there. So it's just that what we need to maintain. I have seen some dashboards where you can pick and choose what you want to do with your user and devices. And security mechanisms are there. So think from that angle, Diego, CASB is a part of SASE. And software gateways are there, firewall as a service are there. I hope I answer. Maybe you are talking on mute. Possible. Okay. So I just want to give a quick pause here and want to understand that what is your intake of today's discussion about SASE, and what do you feel about SASE's future in your respective organizations? John, what is your view?
Honestly, I think this will be something that will take a hold very quickly. Because like you said, everyone's moving to the cloud at blazing rate. And I think that, SASE is going to essentially enable users, work from home, um, directly to the cloud. I know that, the company that I work for and companies I've worked for in the past, one of the huge limiting factors for people working at home was the network stress that coming into the business. And I honestly, I think the SASE technology will alleviate a lot of that stress on, corporations having to maintain their own fiber connections for everyone, and it just network traffic in general, I think, will be cut in at least 50%, with everybody moving to the cloud. And with this, it'll just cut your network traffic down drastically.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. All right. AIC Aubrey is online. Hey, Aubrey.
Hey, Rajiv, how you doing?
I'm good. So what is your view about SASE in public sector?
Well, it's something very new to me, I must admit. And so this is the first time I've heard of the term SASE, and I'm just trying to come to terms with it. So yeah. I think the cloud is really going to be big because I think everyone is jumping on there. So yeah. Yeah, I think SASE is going to be great. I mean, this is the first time I've heard of the term, and I think I need to do more research to know more about it, before I can say anything about it. Yep.
Yeah, and Hiren, what do you think? I mean, you work with public sector a lot. How governments are thinking about giving security and network to vendors?
Yeah, I think everyone is working from home nowadays, right? Most of the work that we do is from home, right? So yeah, like you're saying, the government will need very secure network to enable people to work from home. So yeah, I think this is going to come into play very seriously.
All right. Okay. All right. Is there any question in the chat, Hiren?
Nope. You answered all the questions.
Thank you. Okay. I think this can be a closing slide, and my closing remarks towards SASE is, guys, please pay attention to this. This is going to be the new normal. Soon, if the organizations are not IT specific, they just want to deal less with it. And they want to make sure that security is there, and they want to use it from anywhere. So please stay tuned for our next webinars. In the next one, we will be talking about CASB, because that's another important point to understand when you are moving towards cloud. And in the end, it will be a proper discussion which has started from Zero Trust to SASE to CASB from global clouds.